Cool. So we're Facebook Live, and we are right here at 94.3 The Shark. It's not every day that you get a hardcore legend and a WWE Hall of Famer in the studio. So let's give it up for Mick Foley.
Thank you.
So this Friday, you're pretty much the unofficial Long Island kickoff of the SummerSlam weekend. You'll be at Mulcahy's?
That's correct. Yeah, I'll be there for the big costume extravaganza. I believe I will be the judge. Am I the only judge?
I don't know, but honestly...
I'm looking at the moles.com right now. It says you will be judging and wrestling-themed attire and courage. Best costume wins a TV presented by Mick himself.
So no pressure.
I'm just putting it out there that if I'm the only judge, I may...
You're the only picture on there.
Not through nefarious means, but I may be inclined to vote for someone dressed as myself.
But there's three versions of you.
There's three versions. Right?
What would you be conflicted if somebody was Cactus Jack and somebody was Dude Love?
Well, actually, I think Mankind is the easiest one to pull off, because the mask, right? The mask.
Yeah, well,
whenever I go to a comic convention, there are inevitably two or three people who look more like me than I do. And that's very fun. No, I will call this thing straight down the line, and we encourage wrestling regalia, but you do not have to come dressed up as a wrestler or Al Snow. Boom!
So Rob and I were talking. Mick Foley is going to be at Mulcahy's Saturday night, 10 o'clock. He will be the only judge of this 90s party wrestling contest. And Rob and I are around the same age. When you were at your peak in WWE, we were growing up discovering things, and we never let go.
You're both grown men. And you're
now,
my God. All right, okay.
But we never let go of wrestling. And now you're going to have guys there who are passing this down to their children. So what is it about wrestling that where it's able to get passed down like this?
Man, we get made fun of a lot, throughout the rest of popular culture. And I defy anyone out there to find another medium that has the intergenerational appeal that professional wrestling does. Sure. It's inexplicable. It really is, because I never get tired of hearing stories about somebody who says, and in my case, 16 years old, a lot of people don't get along good with their dad at that time.
Right.
And they find, like I did, the only thing they bond over is the wrestling. They might not get along, might not want to hang out the rest of the week, but that's like, Dad, you want to watch wrestling? And my dad is a huge newspaper man. I can't remember a time like when he wasn't reading a newspaper, and one of the few times he put the paper down was for WWF. He was an athletic director at Ward Melville here on the island, and he really appreciated the athleticism. He liked the drama as well. I don't know. There's something you can't explain, and I believe people have tried to do studies, and you just can't figure out why it not only works intergenerationally, but internationally in a way that possibly only, soccer or football and the rest of the world does.
It's 94.3 The Shark. We have Mick Foley up here, and you're talking about all the Comic-Cons and the conventions and stuff. What is, besides, let's just throw it out there, the most asked question is, did it hurt when you fell off? Besides that question, what is the most stupid question that you don't want to hear anybody ask you again? And you can
That's
tell
my Groundhog's Day thing, where I've been living every day over for the last 19 years.
Has it been that long already? Damn.
Yeah. Next year's 20 years.
Wow, so you're going to hear a lot more. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me see. I don't necessarily get stupid questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get were the thumbtacks fake? And you go, we bought. Randy Orton had a magnetic shield, and then when we bought the fake thumbtacks at the fake thumbtack store, they attached the magnetic shield, and then you have the guy asking if it's fake, going, then where'd the blood come from? And now they start sticking up for you. So, is that wrestling fake? I go, every bit of it.
Yeah.
But wait, what about that time that I saw that? No, that wasn't really either. And now you get the guy who started out blasting you, sticking up for what you're doing.
I can't believe it's going to be 20 years next year. Damn. Now I'm feeling old.
All this madness, and it's gonna culminate at Mulcahy's this Friday as Mick hosts this crazy 90s party wrestling costume contest. And a lot of people will say that your era, at the height of its popularity in the 90s, the Attitude Era, all that stuff, was the best. But we all have our own era. For me, it was your era in World Class.
World Class Championship Wrestling?
The ESPN every 4 o'clock, same
Really?
thing. Didn't get along with my family. That was my escape. Does anybody ever come up to you about that? Do you?
Seldom, Usually when someone goes, man, I go way back with you, and all the way back to WWE.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was doing it for 12 years before that, and so yeah, that World Class was when I really started coming into my own. We were on 100 stations, and TV stations or something, so we were seen around the country and parts of the world. Like you go to certain parts of the world, and they still watch those old World Class tapes. Weren't being compensated too well, but we were being seen. I could be poor in a lot of states in the country. That allowed me to.
Do you think that was the launching pad for what came to be in WCW?
Well, for me, yeah, it created a little bit of awareness that when I just showed up unannounced backstage at Center Stage Theater in Atlanta, where WCW was doing their taping, there were a few guys, chief among them Jim Cornette, who had seen my stuff and liked it, and he put me over in WrestleSpeak to Ric Flair, who was the in charge at the time, and Rick put me on the card 2 weeks later against the Steiners. I survived it and got a contract.
We're talking about everything that you do. You're like the jack of all trades, and you've done books. You've done, of course, wrestling. You're going to be hosting this contest Friday at Mulcahy's. What's next for you besides?
Can I tell you what you guys do here on the Shark?
Yeah,
you surprise people.
Oh, is that
so? So for me,
because we have
I love
faces
classic
for radio.
rock, but after a while, you if it's not a song then they're not doing their job, right? And I like certain types of country. My son and I kind of bond. But after the 5th time I've heard the term "painted odd jeans," or okay, I can't hear any more of this. You go to the Shark, very seldom let down. There's always something popping up, and it's like, that's right, I forgot about that song. And they're always, for me, it's a cool experience. Whenever I'm driving, put on the Shark, and it's a good time.
I want that. I want that soundbite. Mick Foley. I want that.
It's not just a cheap plug either.
For me, all right, let me get back to
comes from the heart.
Cheap plugs. You asked me
what else
coming
you
up
got
with
coming
me,
up?
and I gave up the opportunity to promote myself so I could put you guys over. Something fundamentally wrong with that. I've got a Christmas memoir coming up in October about my Christmas experiences. One of Santa's helpers.
The ambassador, right?
The ambassador, yeah, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So if you like your wrestling memoirs that have nothing to do with wrestling, this is the one for you. And then I just stay pretty busy. I'm having my knee done here in a little bit. I think we're talking off camera, saying got to kind of front load, the work up until then because you can't travel for a while, and almost everything I do is based on traveling, which is why showing up at Mulcahy's is such a layup because it's about 30 minutes from my house. That's nice.
So Mick is going to be at Mulcahy's, and Mick, if you don't mind, right here on Long Island.
Right here.
I always wanted to do that this Friday. And again, it's that quirky wrestling fan thing that you're only going to understand if you watch this stuff. But
hey, let me point out something about the island that people don't know. I grew up with this map. My parents had the 13 tribes of the Paumanok. So Native American area, Long Island. I love hearing Siri try to announce some of these names here. You will turn on the Wantagh Highway.
Wantagh, Wantagh Highway.
Yeah, so they mess up just about everything.
Well, where were like some of the cool spots that you used to go? Like maybe somebody say they grew up going to Mulcahy's. Where did Mick Foley go to hang out on the island?
I wasn't necessarily a cool guy.
You wrestled, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I did wrestle with Kevin James as my on my team. Oh, wow. So we're side by side in the Ward Melville. I grew up. Honestly, as a son of the athletic director, I grew up going to all these athletic events with my dad. Like, he would drag us, not against our will, because we liked it. My dad was busy a lot of the time, but we had like the primary sports, football, baseball, basketball. But he brought us, to everything. Women's field hockey, cross country. That was the first time that I really smelled BO. Guys standing around and BO and liniment. And then little did I know that would become my own potpourri.
Foley fragrance. Yeah, there you go.
There were a few things. I was a doorman at a place called the Blue Moon Cafe.
Where was that?
That was in Stony Brook. Tui's used to be, great musical jaunt. I was too young to hit Hammerheads. When Twisted Sister was playing there.
True.
And then I would go to the Bordy Barn once in a while, but I wasn't a drinker. So if you're not a drinker and you're around people who are drinking, it can get old in a hurry.
I think I'm the only one that never went to the Bordy Barn.
I was a thinker, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was a thinker.
I never missed a Sunday. How was
Never
that for
went.
not drinking? Because honestly, with the beer getting poured over you at the time, how did you?
I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, my friends liked it. I was more of a snack guy than a drinking guy.
Well, you paved the way. Wrestling was just one avenue. Your book, I think, started this revolution of all these wrestlers writing books.
Absolutely, yeah.
But now you have, we had Corey Taylor from Stone Sour and Slipknot. He was promoting his book. It's not about rock. You seem to have taken that context of it, too, where you're writing now about stuff that you're not known for. And you
Am I
see
allowed
the
to
trend.
give a behind-the-scenes Corey Taylor story?
Yes.
I think you'll be okay with this. The guy from VH2, Ian, how can I? He was he's going to kill me if I can't remember his name. He when I told him my son was a big Slipknot fan, he even has the Joey Jorgensen drum set.
Mm-hmm.
Corey's reply was, "I think I just peed myself a little." Because he was he was a big wrestling fan. So you're saying that that the book he wrote is not just
music.
about music?
No, it's about politics and other stuff. And, I think you started that trend as well. You started with the biography, and then your books, you wrote children's books, you wrote books more about travel and things like that. Were you met with resistance to that stuff? Like, look, we just want to hear about your wrestling and that's it?
The first one is, whenever somebody says they read my book, I know they're talking about the first one.
Yeah.
The first one really, it just surprised a lot of people because at that point, very few performers were actually writing their own book. It was just a given that you have a ghostwriter do it, and then he does as good a job as they can. So the idea that somebody came out of the chute with their own book written by hand was really kind of revolutionary, and it kind of showed some other guys, at least, not only in wrestling but elsewhere. Hey, if this guy can do it, other people can. And the second book was largely a wrestling book. Towards the end of it, I got into the thing where the Parents Television Council had been so rough on WWE, and I will go out and say that, my writings and the studying I did helped WWE win a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against them. And then as I got on, I had other interests, and there would be people, hey, man, just stick to the wrestling. So the last book I did had a wrestle meter at the beginning of every chapter that would tell people how much wrestling they could expect. And but I also had other people who liked the book specifically because of the non-wrestling stuff.
Sure,
So pretty much when this new book comes out, Saint Mick, it has wrestling references. I apply everything I learned in wrestling to other parts of life, but it's not a wrestling memoir by any means.
Now, what about comedy? Are you going to continue with that?
Yeah,
you did do a few tours with that.
I know.
Here.
I dug myself a hole by calling it comedy. It should have been an evening with, one man show because I'm a storyteller, and people are expected. They're afraid of jokes. It'd be like if you said, you pick out any athlete. Go ahead and randomly pick out an athlete.
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor tells jokes.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll pass it. Lawrence Taylor.
There'll be some pretty interesting jokes.
Evening with Lawrence Taylor, discussing his career. Yeah, if you're a Giants fan, Eli Manning telling jokes.
Yeah.
No.
So is there going to be any more nights with?
Yeah. I'm going to do 20 shows in 2018 to commemorate the 20th year anniversary of Hell in a Cell, and this will be really a cool adventure because the entire show will revolve around one night.
Yeah.
I dove into some books, before I did the Hardcore Diaries in 2007, which is a 6-week look at the very inner workings of WWE, and I would find out Tony La Russa,
from the A's.
The A's, yeah. He did a great book called 3 Nights in August, where he just breaks down these 3 nights, and a journalist for the Boston Globe, well-known sports guy. Bob something or other. He did a book called 48 Minutes without one single game.
Wow.
So I think I can. I think I'll find a way to make this show really interesting. I'm starting working on it now. It doesn't come about until April through June of 2018, so I have plenty of time to work on it.
Any shows booked here on Long Island?
Right here. Not
Right here.
as of yet.
Okay.
It'd be a shame given my relationship with the the clubs, governors and
McGuire's, right?
McGuire's, yeah.
There's the brokerage, too.
The brokerage. Brokerage especially. I really like the brokerage.
Yeah.
To not do one of the shows here, so probably there'll be a new
Well, let us know. We'll have you back on to promote it. Like
Yeah,
we're
you got
promoting
it.
your Mulcahy's thing on Friday night. It's going to start at 10 o'clock. It's only $10 to get in. You can get tickets more at muls.com.
I got two. I don't want to hold up Mick forever, but I got two wrestling geek questions. The first, contemporary, because we just saw the first ever.
tattoos.
Yeah,
No, it's Ultimate Warrior.
yeah.
Marilyn Manson.
Andrew Wood from Love Bone.
Andrew Wood. Okay, sorry.
Lane Staley.
Ooh.
Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon. And
You know what I do if I see someone?
That has a tattoo of you?
Yeah.
Have you seen it often?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. I'll go out of my way to be as big a jerk as possible, so that they will regret that for the rest of their life. So that I know every night when they look in the mirror, they'll just look and go,
What a jerk.
"Holy yeah, yeah."
I got this the day after he passed
That's
away.
awesome.
Oh, that's cool, man.
But
go ahead with the question.
No, it's all. Hell, we just saw the all-female Hell in the Cell. Now, I was as the pretty much pioneer of Hell in the Cell. How did you feel about that?
I thought the women did a great job. Sasha and Charlotte, yeah, I thought they tore it down. I did,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy with what they did, and proud to have played a part in making it happen as the general manager at that time.
Well, second wrestling question I have is the last time I saw you at a wrestling show was at Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore in St. James. The reaction that you got for just being there was insane. You didn't step in the ring. It was nuts. Do you think that the WWE would benefit from bringing back more legends? I mean, it seems like just their appearance alone is enough to get crowds nuts.
Well, Tommy came back for a nice run in 2015. I think he was really happy with it, and then that helped out House of Hardcore. He had Bully Ray on the show, and Bully Ray had just done a year. I think WWE does do a nice job of bringing back their legends, and they've realized, that you don't have to have a guy locked up for 3 years or put on the road all the time in order to get an enormous benefit out of them. So I thought it was good. Yeah, I was a real frightening sight coming out on crutches, right, or a cane with the Mandible Club.
But the bad guy still ran away.
Tommy's one of those great guys. He would do anything for me, and he did. He showed up at the brokerage in order to broker peace between me and the real Santa Claus.
I know what you're talking about.
The real the guy
yeah.
legally changed his name.
He was in the same documentary.
Yes,
yes,
and he was heckling me from the crowd. So, here's the thing. There are wrestling stories, but if I find an opportunity to do something I think is unusual, like throwing Santa Claus out of the show. The one night I grabbed this really fine young man, Johnny, and Johnny has Down syndrome, and I asked his mom for permission. It'd be okay if I had Joey thrown out of the show, Johnny thrown out of the show. And so Johnny was making some noise, and I was like, and I basically had security come escort him out of the building. And then the other comic on the card came out and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Johnny's two-timing me." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Johnny said that he was my biggest fan, and I saw him wearing John Cena's wristbands, and I saw him hugging Nikki Bella. You're two-timing me, Johnny." Like the old gangster movies. And he went, "Mick, hold on. Johnny said that he was your biggest fan. He never said you were his favorite wrestler." I went, "Okay." And he goes, "How many shows of yours has Johnny been to?" I said, 6. He goes, "How many have most fans been to?" I went, "None." So there's something you'd like to say to Johnny? I went, "I love you." So got the big
That's
hug.
worth $10 right there.
Sally, do you want to ask a question, being that this is all about
Come
you?
on, bro.
One
Ask
question,
out.
Sally.
No.
Step up. You do a...
It's not so much a question, it's more a statement. It's that what you had mentioned earlier about how there's the connection between fathers and sons, especially with wrestling.
Right.
My father, unfortunately, passed away about 10 years ago.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And right before he died, he had a lot of health issues. And the biggest thing that we always had was Monday nights, and at the time, Thursday nights, because that's when SmackDown was still on. Mondays and Thursdays, it was always a lockdown, WWE, every week, no matter what. And you were one of the reasons why I got into pro wrestling in the first place. You just started your run with WCW.
Wait, you wrestle, Matt?
No, well, that's why I became a fan of pro wrestling. Was because
there we go.
A lot of what, and some of your promos with ECW as Cactus Jack were some of the greatest things I've ever watched.
Scary,
and for that,
right?
I will be forever thankful.
See, if that Cactus Jack had showed up here, you'd be running away.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, yeah,
I'd be bending over and going, "Thank you, sir. May I have another."
Solly.
Thank you.
Give it up for Solly.
Superstar over here.
That's right. Matt, don't forget, you can tell all your friends you can see Mick on a Friday at Mulcahy's in Wandsworth. It's going to start at 10 o'clock.
So.
Well, there you go. Now tell your friends as well.
So we can't thank you enough for this, Mick. Honestly, if before we wrap this up, obviously we'll mention it one more time that it's $10 at Mulcahy's, 10 o'clock. You are seems like the only judge of this 90s party wrestling show. But as far as your social media, anything that you like to promote, how people could stay in touch with you?
I try to keep it real, so everything is at Real Mick Foley. Not on Instagram. There's a Real Mick Foley. I believe the guy's either honoring me or trying to get money out of me, one or the other. But Twitter is Real Mick Foley. Facebook, Real Mick Foley. And the website is realmickfoley.com.
All right, cool.
This was
Pretty cool, yeah.
this was awesome.
Worked
know that
out
he's-
nice, right?
No, he's a fan of the Shark. He's been a fan for a long time. I think
Long time,
About
yeah.
4 or
I
5
was-
years, you would tell me.
Whenever it was that I turned it on and saw that the format had changed,
Yeah,
I was like, whoa.
If you're around September 16th, I mean,
Yeah,
you could
that's
be
right.
our guest at the Sharks' birthday bash. We're turning 5,
Yeah.
Offspring and Sublime with Rome.
Unfortunately, I have my knee replaced just a couple
Oof.
days ahead of time. I won't be going anywhere for a few weeks.
Well, we'll FaceTime.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
be
yeah,
there in
yeah.
spirit.
Send me a,
We have
yeah.
Shine down September 7th, too, right?
Yeah, at the Paramount.
That might, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's closer.
Yeah,
There you go.
close.
Yeah,
All right,
you
that's
can
a
take
great
an
place
Uber.
to watch the show, too.
Or Solly can drive you if he gets his license. Good luck with the driver's test, yeah.
So let's, there's enough of us here. Let's give it up for Mick Foley.
Thank you.
Right here on Long Island.